Welcome to the Win Win Evangelism Podcast. My name's Tina Waldrom from Evangelism in Australia. Friends, I have a very interesting story for you today. I'm talking with Lachlan Shipard, and Lachlan is a relatively new follower of Jesus. And what I want to do on the show is introduce you to some people that have started following Jesus, young and old, but lean into their stories and see how we can be better, how we can get better at sharing our faith. Lachlan had a moment where he said to me, he just felt out of the blue that God was trying to reach him. So that got my attention. I want to talk about that today. Welcome to you, Lachlan.
G'day, how are you, Tina?
I'm very well, and I'm so enthusiastic about your story and so encouraged. But what I want to know is, before you felt like God was trying to reach you, can you just give me a quick overview of your life? I know you're in your early 30s now. Give us a bit of an overview of what was going on in your life before this.
Well, what was going on in my life is I think I realized how sad I was, and I was in a bit of a bad place, and I decided that I wanted to change my life. And I started to, you could say, clean the inside of the cup, but I didn't know God at the time. And I just started to change the way I thought, change the way I spoke, how I treated people, how I treated myself, getting rid of drugs and alcohol, just so many things I changed about my life that led me towards to find God.
Right. Okay. Now, what did your life look like? Like, what did the regular week look like for you as someone that was in their early 20s? Like, what did that look like?
Yeah. Well, regular week was I go to work. After work would just be training at the gym or going to the pub, hanging out with mates. But it was the constant partying, the constant drinking, the constant taking drugs, the constant need for trying to sleep with as many people as I could. And so it was all about me. And yeah, that was all I was doing, basically, just trying to fill a void that I couldn't.
Yeah. And would you have used that terminology back then? I was trying to fill a void, or what?
Definitely not.
Right. So what was driving that? If you look back, what were you thinking?
I think I was trying to make myself happy. Like I felt pretty miserable. I think I'd felt miserable deep down for such a long time, but didn't understand that I did. So I was constantly trying to find things that were to make myself happy. I called them quick fixes. So I was having a quick fix after work. I was having a quick fix during work. I was having multiple quick fixes on the weekend, and I was just trying to feel happy, I guess.
Right. Well, what type of work did you do? Like, what were you doing? Was that a part of the trying to, fill the void as well?
I was a heavy diesel mechanic by trade. I chose the job when I was 17, and it was purely just because of the money. Heavy diesel mechanics make a lot of money, and I thought that having a lot of money meant you have a really incredible life, but that's definitely not true. I had heaps of money and didn't know how to spend it. It went out quicker than it came in. The job that I had I was in it for the wrong reasons, you could say. I was just there purely for the money, didn't have any satisfaction or desire to be a mechanic. Yeah.
It's very hard to have any other driver, isn't it? If
It
what
is.
else can drive you if it's not something to do with faith or something like that? When were you the most unhappiest?
I think the most unhappiest was when I was 25. It was in, I think, 18, roughly off the top of my head. I'd been living this lifestyle of drinking, partying, hardly working, and it had all just caught up to me. And I remember just being completely confused as to how I was feeling. It was like I felt sad for the first time in my life, and I had no idea why. So I just had to sort of get up and get out of where I was because I didn't know how to fix myself, didn't know how to help myself.
All right. So, all right, take me from that point. So you mentioned this at the beginning. So you started to clean the cup from the inside is the words that you used. So
Definitely.
This is kind of off the back of this deep sadness that you're feeling at 25?
Yeah, definitely. deep sad, just like really confused because I knew that I was a good person deep down. And I sort of didn't understand how I got to this point, how I was feeling these emotions, but I hadn't really felt these emotions before. I think I was living off such a high life previously. And I finally got to a point where my body was like, and my mind was like, where are you? What are you doing? And so I had to isolate myself. I went and moved to Western Australia where I was working in the mines over there. And yeah, just began trying to understand how to help myself in a sense.
Mm. How did working in the mines help?
It didn't help much. I did meet some great people, but I just went out there and just worked as much as I could. And then when I came off from work, I had no idea what to do. So I would go out drinking. I would go take drugs. I would go sleep with people. I would go try catch up with the people back from home. But it was a 2-year battle of me doing the same things, but I was doing it isolated. So I think I continually kept breaking myself further and further and further down. I kept wearing myself down to the point where I'd had enough and I had to get out of Western Australia.
I shouldn't laugh, but it sounds like you changed locations feeling like that would be the answer.
Yeah, definitely.
And
I definitely thought that would be the answer. Yeah.
okay, so you left the mine. So where did you go?
Well, I actually moved to Queensland where I worked in a job in civil construction, just operating on or working on their machinery. It's just the same job, just with smaller gear. And I was making less money. I was still living the exact same lifestyle. I tried to deal some cocaine because I was trying to make some extra money. I was still partying every weekend. I was still doing some, very silly things. And yeah, it all caught up to me one day in Queensland.
It's an amazing story, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but there's so many things I
No,
think of my own story where I'm laughing, thinking, "Gosh, yeah, I did so many similar things on, trying to fulfill that void in life." So, what happens then in Queensland?
in Queensland, I still remember it. I can't remember the exact date, but I had just finished work. It was Friday afternoon. The job that I had was terrible. They were short staffed. We were working so much, and I wasn't getting the money that I used to make in the mines. I left work. I was driving home, and I just started to think about my life. I was like, I didn't like who I was. I had no money. My rent was due. I had no food in the pantry. I was constantly smoking cannabis. I was not around people that were helping me out. I just felt like I had no one helping me. I had no one. I had nothing basically, and just broke down during the car ride on the way home. Just cried the whole 50-minute drive in traffic, and then got home and just locked myself in my bedroom for the next 3 days and just smoked cannabis, ate food, and then went to sleep and just did that on cycle for 3 days. And that was I say the turning point, because when I woke up on Tuesday morning, it was like I'd been lifted up again and I'd been given a second wind.
Okay. All right, so that intrigues me. So you wake up, and is this the point where you feel like, I think God is trying to reach me?
Definitely, I still did not know God. This was in 2021, I think around September. It was just like it was like I thought it was myself. I was like, "Come on, mate, let's go. Let's get up. Let's do something else." So I contemplated on moving back to Western Australia to try and make more money, or to move back home in Newcastle to move in with some friends and be around some people that could help me out. Luckily enough, I actually moved back with my mates, and yeah, that was a turning point. But still didn't know God at this time.
Okay, so why was it a turning point? Why was it such a turning point?
I think it was such a turning point because of the realizations that I had. Like, I realized in that moment that I needed help. I realized that I needed to take accountability for my life. And I think I realized that I had to get rid of this victim mentality, the mentality that I'd been holding on to for such a long time. All my problems weren't my problems, they were everyone else's. And I hadn't ruined my life. People's influences had ruined my life. And so it was the starting point was getting rid of those three things out of my life, and they were completely shattered after that.
Okay, so fast forward, and you come to this moment where you think, I think that God's trying to reach me. Are you saying to me that even though you tried to, that was a big turning point and life was looking a bit different, you still didn't feel like the void was filled?
Yeah, definitely. Like I'd changed so many things about my life, and I call it miserably happy because it was the happiest I'd ever been in my life. I was drug and alcohol free. I was fit and healthy. I had great people around me. I'd changed my career to helping people. I'd changed all these things about me. I could talk to people, have a normal conversation when I wasn't on drugs or alcohol. I was still miserable. Like I felt like, why do I feel like this? Why am I still feeling like I'm not enough or feeling like I haven't done anything crazy? Because I had changed so many things about my life, but I just still felt like there was something missing, and I still couldn't figure out what it was.
Mm. All right. So we must be getting near that point where you feel like, I think that God is trying to reach me.
It was around July 2024, and I was in a relationship, and this girl that I was in a relationship was really nice, incredible person, but the relationship just sort of fell out from underneath my feet, and I was sort of contemplating, am I going to marry this person, or am I going to leave this person? We had a dog together. It was a really confusing time because it just fell out from nothing, and yeah, after that sort of encounter and then moving back in with my parents at that time, that's when I had the light bulb moment when God came to me and said, reach out to me.
How did that even look? I mean, not many people say that. Oh, yeah, had a light bulb moment. God just came and said, reach out to me. Where were you?
Well, I was sitting in my bedroom at my mum and dad's house, and I was just sitting there, and I remember I'd been thinking about it for a couple of weeks. I was like, I got a new fresh start at life. I'm going to go move to Canada. I'm going to go volunteer. I'm going to go figure out, what life's about. I'm going to go find who I am. And I was sitting in my bedroom, and I just had the thought that God wanted to speak to me. And I said, that's ridiculous. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm not reaching out to God. Like, what does that even mean? Like, the thought was so like extreme. I'd never even thought it before. And I said, not doing that. And I was like, I got Canada on my mind. I got saving on my mind. I'm in this great new place. I don't need God. Like, I'm going to go help myself. And then about 20 minutes later, the feeling came back, the thought came back, and it just like showered me with like, you have to do this now. Like, you have to come and talk to me now. And then I was in that moment, I was like, all right, I have to do this. I have to talk to God somehow. And it was just like, yeah, that's what happened. It just sort of come over me.
Such a great story. I had one of those moments though, Lockie. I had one of those where
Really?
I did in California when I met Jesus, and I had this thought, if you don't change your life right now, you certainly wouldn't go to heaven if it existed. Just from nowhere,
Yeah, wow.
random. But
Yeah.
anyway, so I love these stories. So what did you do? Like, what happened?
Well, because I wasn't really surrounded by anyone going to church or, a true believer of Jesus. My best mate had an older brother that I knew was a Christian. I'd spoken to him a few times over Strava and over text message. And I just messaged him and I was like, hey, bro, what are you up to? I think God's trying to talk to me. Can you help me out? Yeah, he talked to me. He helped me understand what I was going through. He tried to talk to me about Jesus. Like, I'd known who Jesus was. Like, I knew through school that he died on the cross, and that was about it. But still, he kept saying all these beautiful things about Jesus, and it was like it was all going over my head. I was just like, I don't get it.
So when did you get it? When did it kind of lock in?
Well, I was we're doing like a Bible study on through the week, and I actually went to church with him that weekend and gave my life to Jesus, but I still did not understand it. I just felt like I was being guided here, guided to this place, and I just gave my life to Jesus. But it wasn't until the next week. So the next week I was trying to pray. I was trying to be a Christian, you could say. I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I was just trying to be better. From when I woke up to when I went to sleep, all I could think about was God. And I couldn't understand why he was just taking over my whole mind every single second of the day. And I went to church the following Sunday, and it was an incredible service. And Dave, the pastor from the church that I was attending, came over and gave me my first Bible that night. And I took it home and just kept reading about Jesus in Matthew, and it just sort of clicked in. Like, it was just sort of like Jesus died for me. He's calling me right now. And all the things that he did for me on the cross, all the things that, like, his incredible example, like, he did all this to help show me and to help me be a better person. But yeah, he died for me, gave me life. And I think my heart understood. Like, I'd been saying these words like, Jesus, I know you'll help me understand what's going on. But that night, my heart caught up to what my mouth was saying, and my heart knew what was going on. And I prayed to him that night and told him I loved him and said, help me be better, help me be a better person, help me in every single way take over my life. And yeah, it was an incredible moment.
Wow. Yeah, that is quite a story. Absolutely amazing. So now let's have a bit of a moment of honesty. So now you've been following Jesus for, a short while, around the year. What's your own thoughts on reaching other people? Like, what do you now think is most helpful for you to be able to share your faith in Christ with others? And obviously will be informed by your own story. So I'm just intrigued by how you see that now, and what do you do?
So for the last 4 or 5 years, I have been self-reflecting on how I treat myself, on how I treat other people, and every situation. Like, it's ingrained in my being now. So I think it's a massive part that, we remove the log from our own eye before we remove the speck from someone else. So it's not being like inwardly focused, but it's being like seeing how you react, seeing how you talk to people, seeing how you handle situations, and knowing who Jesus is and adapting that into your life. And also, those 3 points that I said at the start was understanding that, we can't do this life by ourselves. We need each other, and we also need Jesus to remove the victim mentality, because we can't blame anyone else. Like, yes, a lot of people have had hard upbringings, and there's some crazy things that people have gone through, but no, we can't change that. And the only way that you can move on from that is to, like, change your thought process and just say, yep, this is what I've been dealt, but I'm going to change it. That's been like the pillar of what I've been doing these last 4 years.
Yeah, very powerful. It's a great foundation that you've got laid in your life there. So if you think about your mates now that don't know Jesus, that are around you, like, what's your strategy? Like, in your own mind, what do you kind of think, this is what's going to be effective as a Christian for me to reach them?
Yeah, it was a bit of a process, because when I first found Jesus, I was just like, just telling everyone, I'm like, you have to give your life to Jesus. I was probably being that really annoying guy. I bought them all a Bible. I bought my mum a Bible. Like, I was just handing out Bibles like they were going out of fashion. But I think that the best way and the most effective way is to show people who Jesus are through who you are and through your actions. Because even as kids growing up, we don't learn most of the time through what people say to us, but we learn through watching people. We learn through seeing and adapting and putting that into our lives. Like, when I moved back in 2021, I moved in with my friends, and I learned so much just from watching them and implementing that into my life. And so, I think that's a key point.
Yeah, it is an absolute key. Were there things that Christians did, when you were in that journey of before it really locked in, so to speak? Were there things that Christians did that were helpful? And were there some things that you just were like, that was not helpful?
Yeah, I think the biggest things was, I think just, it's hard because, and I understand it now myself, because all I want to talk about is Jesus. And I think we can scare people off because it's very confronting. Like, the enemy has lots of, guards up in people's bodies. So it just coming in and being like just Jesus, like you need to give your life to Jesus and just going for it can be very like confronting and can sort of make people step back. And it didn't make me step back because I just knew something was happening, but I've seen it, and I've also done it myself when I've been out doing outreach and things like that. And just throwing Jesus out there or anything can sort of be a bit confronting. So I think even trying to just build a friendship or even just have a conversation with someone can bless them more than trying to say, look, you need to give your life to Jesus. I think just being a human and just getting to know someone and getting to talk about someone, maybe share a bit of their story, can help someone understand that we're here to help. We're here to talk to them.
Yeah, exactly. So if I put you in front of a big congregation and said, look, just give us your top 2 pointers, Lockie, give us your top 2 pointers on how I can be better at sharing my faith as a Christian, what would those 2 be?
I think the best 2 would be, number 1 is like just to share what Jesus has done in your life, because it's so individualized, it's so important, and it can reach so many different people. So like I'm still reading through the Bible and everything like that. So I'm still understanding how to read it properly and everything like that. And sometimes I don't feel very confident in preaching the word, but I can explain with great detail what Jesus has done in my life personally, what he's taken from me and what he's delivered me from. And then I can also just show who Jesus is. Just be Jesus for people. Just love people. Just be kind to people. Just help people out. And like we don't have all the answers, and Jesus has all the answers. We try to steward those in the best way that we can. But showing people who Jesus is by how you treat them, how you love them, and just doing little things for people can be so powerful.
Yep, amen. Those are great answers. And the challenge for all of us, Lachlan, is that sometimes we can be good at showing, but sometimes I think we do need to be a bit more accountable by what our behaviours are and our actions. But being brave enough to actually say something, that this is what Jesus has done in my life, that's a big one. But really, you've got a very laid back way about you, and I could see that you could easily do that because you understand by not being in people's face is not going to help, but just basically sharing what Jesus has done in your life. So that would be my challenge for you today as a listener, is how can you actually take a step forward and actually just share something about what Jesus has done in your life or is doing in your life. So that would be a great challenge. Lockie, what an amazing story. Oh my gosh, so great to talk to you. And in the show notes, it's a pleasure. In the show notes, I'm going to drop a link to how you can stay connected with Lockie on Instagram, and you can have some conversations there if you want to.
Thanks, Tina. Thanks for having me.